Okay, the question is, if if J.P. Morgan and other companies are just trying to work and gain money, why is that negative? One of the things that Theodore Roosevelt was trying to do was give opportunity for everybody. An example that could be viewed today is Walmart. Walmart is viewed by some as a big conglomeration or a monster business. With Walmart, a lot of the smaller mom and pop businesses have had to go out of business because they cannot compete with the lower prices that Walmart has. And why can they not compete? Because Walmart can buy in volume. They buy in mass volume. Mom and pop shops cannot buy in mass volume. They're just looking at trying to get by. They're putting out their commodities in a way where they can make some money. They don't have opportunities like Walmart or Penny's or Target, where or even Costco, buying in mass volume, they can get lower prices. Theodore Roosevelt understood that. One of the things that J.P. Morgan was doing, he would go into these small banks. He would buy out other holders in stocks in the banks, so that eventually J.P. Morgan was the person having most of the stock for the bank. And then the actual owner, he didn't have as much of a say because he owned less stock. Morgan would go in to whoever owned very small portions of stock, and he would convince them to sell to him, and then he'd go to the next one, and to the next one, and to the next one, and then he would have a corner on the market for that bank. And he would do the same thing in businesses. Carnegie did the same thing, because Carnegie had his corner of the market into the steel business, Rockefeller in oil, pushing back all the other little companies, so that the only people you could really go to get any decent-sized price for these goods would be a big conglomeration. And Theodore Roosevelt thought that that was not a good thing. He realized that we need to do something to help the little guy, the mom and pop shops, the little businesses where a man has invested his life into companies like a butcher shop, where he's trying to keep a good business going. And with that thought on the butcher shop, other factors were coming in, like Upton Sinclair's book, The Jungle. European companies had ceased to buy U.S. canned meat. Why? Because inside of it there would be rope and splinters, as well as rodents or whatever else fell into the grinders. They'd just be ground up and sent off to whatever country would buy these canned products. These European countries had realized this is not safe working conditions. This is not good products that we are buying. So they ceased buying these things. Upton Sinclair's book, The Jungle, when the American people started reading it, they were appalled at how things were being taken care of, or really not taken care of, in big industry. And they turned on these industries like the meatpacking industry, and they demanded the government do something about it. Roosevelt was president, and he came out with the Inspection Act for meat. It's called the Meat Inspection Act. That whatever is going into these products, whether it's meat or the pure food and drug product, that was another act that came in. What is on the label is supposed to be what is inside. Even though we have these rules and regulations, even in the United States into the 1970s and 80s, people were not regulating as they should have the products going into these different markets. If you went and bought tuna, and it was the tuna that you're trying to get to make a tuna sandwich, well, it didn't necessarily mean that it was tuna that was in all the nets that were going into the meat industry for canning. sometimes dolphin were put in there. And when people would go and get their tuna, open it up to try and have tuna sandwich, tuna steak, tuna salad, sometimes there would be dolphin. And people felt bad. I don't want to eat Flipper the dolphin. I want to eat Charlie the tuna. I want a tuna sandwich, not a dolphin sandwich. So regulation came down even more in the 1970s. Another thing with the pharmaceuticals, companies tend to put in something called a placebo, which is not the drug that the doctor has required a patient to take. They put in something that's an alternative to or a filler. Well, in the pharmaceutical industry, through the Pure Food and Drug Act, what is on the label is what's supposed to be inside the bottle. So when you go to take your medicine, if it's supposed to be aspirin, it's aspirin. If it's supposed to be Tylenol, because some people cannot take aspirin, then it's Tylenol. There's not going to be a placebo, which is just some sort of filler that people, drug companies making money off of people. It's cheaper, but again, it's not the prescribed medicine, so that doesn't help the person that's trying to take whatever the doctor recommended to take to get better.
True. And going back to what you said about monopolies, I'm personally 100% agree with you that what needed to get done with Roosevelt, what Roosevelt did about monopolies needed to get done, because I'm from Mexico, and Carlos Slim had monopolized the telephone market for who knows when, and he made his billions off of that. And it'd be so expensive to call, and no one would like it, but it'd be the only way.
Exactly.
And then once he stopped, you started getting more competition, and it's cheaper, lower prices, and more people benefit off of it. And with Roosevelt's whole thing about stopping monopolies, he made the economy something that instead of one person could get incredibly rich off of, many people can get rich off.
Exactly. It's the American dream.